Okay, back with another, I hope, useful Excel tip. This is one of Bill and my favorites, is an automatic date stamp in an Excel file on my index sheet. And what this does is anytime I save the file, notice the time there, and I'm just going to go File, Save. The macros update the date stamp. So it's really handy that every time I open up an Excel file that has my indexes right at the top is the last time that file was saved. So how do we do that? Well, let's start with a blank file and walk through the macros that do it. So first thing is I need to save this as a macro enabled file. And I'll just save it to my desktop. Date stamp test, and we'll save that as a macro enabled file. For some reason it doesn't like, the screen recording software does not like me doing that while it's recording, so save. Okay, so there we go. Now let's go into Developer, Visual Basic. I'm going to go to my test file, and actually insert a module. Okay, so now I have a module. Now I need the macro code, and I'm going to bring over box, and the macro I want is right here, macro date timestamp automation. And you can read this. I'll give you access to this so you can do it, but I want this code here that's going to go into the module, and right there. So I'm going to do Control C, move this out of the way, Control V, and I now have in the two macros, it's two macros that I need. But the last thing I need to do when I hit save, I want this to invoke automatically. So I need one more piece of code, and it's going to go in this workbook section of the, drop the code in that section right here, and back over to my box folder and my text file, and right here paste following code into this workbook Excel object, and I'm going to call it, and all this does is anytime the file is saved, so I'm going Control C, it's going to call the date timestamp macro. Let me move this out of the way, paste that in, Control V, and I can close this. So let's look at the macros that are in here quick, and it'll show me I have a date timestamp and a format date stamp. It will not show you what's in the workbook, but that's there. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Now I'm just going to do File, Save, and it gives me an error because it's looking for a specific sheet. So let's go back and debug that. And I'm just going, for purposes of this, change it to sheet 1. I would always refer to the sheet where you want it. Okay, it will stop the debugger. Good. So let's do that again. Control S, and there's my date stamp. So let me show you how that works in the real world. Let's get this out of here. And I want to bring over this index sheet file that has an index sheet, and I always like to have this on my index sheet. So I just hit Control S, and there's my date stamp, current, updated. So every workbook that has an index, I include this last updated macro. I hope it helps. Got to see a little bit of how you tweak a macro real quick to make it work, but should be relatively straightforward, and I'll give you the link to the code. Thanks for watching.